So, let me ask you, if you don't get that car you want or that house you want, are you going to still follow God? Are you still going to love Him? If that loved one passes, are you still going to love Him? If somebody in your family was to get into a horrific accident and something terrible was to happen to them, and maybe they were in a wheelchair or maybe they passed on, are you still going to love Him? If you didn't get that baby that you've been praying for so long, are you still going to love Him? If you don't get that job that you prayed for, are you still going to love Him? Sometimes horrific things happen because of man's free will. And it has nothing to do with God, but we blame God for it. Well, why, if you're God, why can't you stop it? That's a question we'd all like to know. But I believe that God has an answer, and we will find that answer out when we get to heaven. But here's my thing. Horrific things happen to God. Horrific things happen to Jesus. He was crucified on a cross. Worst thing possible to man. He never gave up. He never turned his back on us. Not once. He could have stopped it and said, hey, no, you know what? You people ain't worth it. I ain't going to be your Messiah. But he never did. He never did. Even after he passed through crucifixion and came back to life. And people still didn't believe in him. He still didn't turn his back on him, on y'all. He still is hoping that you are still going to follow him, that you're going to turn around and see that he is the Messiah. A lot of times we have to go through these trials and tribulations, and we're like, why? And we get so mad because we have to go through them. But then later in life, you find out that what you went through helped someone else. You were able to use that to help someone else. And there's always something good that comes out of something bad. Something good that comes out of something bad. Always. You might not see it. You might not have the heart to see it. You might not have the eyes to see it. You might not have the ears to see it. But something always comes out of a bad situation. Something good always comes out of a bad situation. That is kind of something that God has done for us. We have to go through some bad things sometimes, but there's always something good that comes out of it. Something. Whether we can see it or not. But knowing that you're not always going to get what you want when you pray for it. You're not always going to get that healing. That loved one is going to pass on eventually. You're not going to get the car you want, or you're not going to get the house that you want, or you're going to have to adopt instead of have a baby. There are reasons we all have to go through the things we go through, the trials and the tribulations. They're a test. Part of it is a test, because we have to test to get to heaven. We have to pass our tests, because he's testing our loyalty. I mean, he gave his life. He wants to make sure that the people who are following him are true followers, not wishy-washy followers, not followers who are only going to follow him if he gives them exactly what they want. That sounds like a spoiled child, don't it? How many adults do you know that are that way? I know people that have been in my life, that I've seen, that I've met, I knew, who lost the marriage and decided that God's done nothing for them. They were faithful, and God wasn't. Really? God gave his life for you. You lost a marriage. I think people are very selfish people sometimes. And I think there's a lot of people who follow God thinking, oh, well, if I follow him and, I do a good job, that I'm going to get everything I want. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. There are times you'll pray for something and you won't get what you want because either God's got something better for you or that's just not the direction he wants you to go. Maybe he wants you to go to a different path. Or something bad happens and you think, how could you do this to me, God? God doesn't do it to you. You'll be like, how could you let this happen? God doesn't want things like that to happen. But we all have, on earth, we all have free will. And there's a lot of people who take their free will and infringe it onto other people. And it's not a good thing. But God will try to bring something good out of that situation. And he will try to be there for the people going through it, if they allow him. I've known a lot of people who will say that they're believers, but they're only believers when it's convenient for them, when they're getting something out of it, when they see the good. But when they see the bad, they want to curse God. They want to get mad at God. They want to be angry with God. They want to blame him. And usually it's things that we've done ourselves or we put ourselves into that situation. And it's not because of God. But you want to blame him for it. When my daughter passed, it would have been easy to blame him. But the truth of the matter is my daughter, she passed away from SIDS. The truth of the matter is everybody has a time. A set time for when they leave this earth. And it was her set time. And I've looked for everything under the sun that could possibly be the reason why it happened. They've never found a reason. The only reason that makes any sense at all is it was her set time. And I could have blamed God. I could have been angry with God. But that would have done no good. That would have made me angry. That would have made me worse. The grieving would have been way worse for me. God helped me through it. It was comforting to know that my daughter was with God. It helped me through my grief. I don't know where you're at in your walk of faith, but I hope that you are genuinely walking with God, because he is genuinely walking with you. If you are a true believer, a full-fledged believer, then nothing in this world is going to let you stray from God. Yes, the devil will try to get in between you and God and try to convince you that God's the culprit and not the answer. But if you're a true believer, you will know that God is the answer. And he will get you through whatever you're going through. I know what it's like to want a baby and not be able to have one. Fortunately for me, I was blessed with babies, but I had a hard time having them. But I tell you, if I had a chance, I'd adopt a baby just as easy. If I wasn't able to have my own children, I would have adopted. Lots of babies out there who need love. Baby don't have to be yours for you to love that baby. Doesn't have to be a baby that came out of your room for you to love that baby. There's lots of babies who need loved. And if you don't get that house, there are other houses. Maybe God's got one planned for you in a better place. Bigger or better. Or maybe something even different than you ever imagined. Trust God. Don't blame him.